Hey guys, isn't it a shame what happened to Miss Ruby's son, Tim? He's going to jail now for the plot to murder Miss Ruby's grandson. It's a real family tragedy, folks. Miss Ruby not only lost her son to the prison system, but she lost her grandson because he's now dead. A little side note, Miss Ruby sang as backup in the icon Tina Turner review in the 1960s. She later created the Sweetie Pies franchise and starred in the award winning reality series Welcome to Sweetie Pies. Her son was a member of the show and a part of the business. So, what happened? Because they were making tons of money. She's now worth about $12 million. So, what happened to this family? So, Tim Norman, Miss Ruby's son, was found guilty on all three charges. And he's going to be doing a jail stint, prison stint. And Miss Ruby, I guess, in all good conscience, could not keep the doors to her restaurants open, knowing that her son was just convicted of murder for her grandson's death. So she decided to close the doors to her franchise. So the heading for the Associated Press read, Sweetie Pies closes shop in St. Louis as owner's son convicted in murder for hire case. And I guess Tim is going to be sitting there in prison for a long time now thinking about where did he go wrong? Why did he do it? Why did he get involved in this murder for hire, killing this family member? And when he had it all, his mother was a millionaire or is a millionaire. The business was thriving. He didn't have to go that route. So Miss Ruby closed her doors in St. Louis about a week after the verdict came in about her son's verdict of guilty on all three counts. So she reported that a little sidebar here. I can't believe what has happened to this family. They had it all. Would be closed until further notice. So until further notice indicates to me that she might reopen under new management. People oftentimes do that. They close their doors temporarily and then they open up with a new manager and they take it easy because I'm sure she wants to just relax at this point because she's been working so hard in that restaurant, hands on. And she and her son side by side with her, now that he's going to prison, I'm sure she just wants to take some time out and just sit back and reflect on all that has happened within her family. So it was reported that a federal jury had charged Tim Norman on various counts last Friday of the murder of this young man who was his nephew. And the jury convicted him on all those counts, three counts. So I'm sure now the family, although they're all within the same family, I'm sure Miss Ruby is going to be sued for wrongful death by the other family members, the mother of this young man who got killed. I remember the first time I saw Miss Ruby, it was on the Oprah show when she was just coming out with her business. And I think Oprah just wanted to introduce her to the public, and she really took off after that show. That show was aired on Oprah. And Oprah subsequently had a series about Miss Ruby, her company, her pies, her children, the backstory with the family, ups and downs. And the name of the show was Welcome to Sweetie Pies. Now, Tim was in the series as well as this young man who got killed. His nephew was Andre Montgomery. So, Tim Norman was convicted of murder for hire a month ago. murder for hire and conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud. Prosecutors are not seeking the death penalty, but the former Sweetie Pie star, Tim Norman, can be sentenced up to life in prison. Sentencing is set for December the 15th. A little sidebar. As I recall, he was dating Phaedra Parks at one time. Drop it in the comment section if I'm correct, but I do recall that. This is all alleged. So his sentencing is December the 15th, and he's going to be looking at life in prison. I guess if the good Lord is shining down on him, he won't have to do that stint of life. But that's what he's facing. So the federal prosecutor said that Tim Norman, who is now 43 years old, hired two people to kill 21-year-old Andre Montgomery on March the 14th, 2016. And then he tried to collect on a $450,000 life insurance policy, which was taken out on his nephew months earlier. And I'm saying to myself, why, Tim? Why? You had money. Your mother's a millionaire from all the pies you guys have been selling. So why do this crime? So it was reported that this nephew allegedly burglarized Miss Ruby's Montgomery's home and took about $220,000 in cash and jewelry. And then he left the state. So on the jury stand, Tim Norman told the jurors that he and his mother hired a private investigator to find and confront his nephew about the robbery, but he had no intention of hurting him. So earlier this month, James, or aka Tim Norman, Ruby's son and one of the show stars, was convicted of commissioning a murder of his nephew and co-star Andre Montgomery Jr. in 2016. Boy, oh boy, how time flies. Do you guys realize Sweeney Pies has been open now for 25 years? Miss Ruby supported her son throughout the entire trial. So back in June, Miss Ruby put out a statement and she said, "My son is in trouble right now, but I'm his mother, and I don't know no more about it than you, 'cause I hear it when you do. But I'm here for him to support. That's my son, and I can't abandon him now." So she said that back in June of this year. So it really came as a shock back in 2016 when her grandson, Andre Montgomery Jr., who was featured on her show, was murdered in a shooting incident. And the person who was accused was her son, James Timothy Norman. And he managed one of her restaurants on Manchester Avenue in St. Louis. So on September the 22nd of this year, which was last month, Miss Ruby announced that she would close all doors to her restaurants. So the police said they pieced the crime together through witness testimony and burner phones. Tim and his associates, his accomplices, used these burner phones in the days leading up to the murder. But I'm telling you guys, a person's life can change in the blink of an eye, because it was only October of 2011 that Oprah Winfrey Network began airing a reality series called Sweetie Pies. And it seemed like yesterday. And the Sweetie Pie show ran from 2011 to 2018 on Oprah Winfrey's network. So that gave it a good amount of viewing time for people to know who Miss Ruby is. and where her stores were located. So now, Tim Norman, Miss Sweetie, Miss Ruby, son. Tim is now 43. As I'm making this video, Tim is in jail. He's 43. I hope he can navigate prison for hiring two people to kill his 21-year-old nephew, Andre Montgomery, in March of 2016. See how long this case was out there, and now it's coming to the docket. Now it's coming before the judge. It came before the judge last month, and the judge ruled. And the jury came in with a verdict of guilty on all counts. So part of the accusation was he was accused of trying to cash a $450,000 life insurance policy that he took out on his nephew months before the nephew was killed. So to me, the way I'm looking at it, if you take out a life insurance policy on a person and then you hire someone to kill that person, that is premeditated because you actually took out a policy before the person died, you plotted and you schemed and you hired for kill, and subsequently the person died and then you go to cash the policy in. That's all premeditated. So although Tim Norman said he did not arrange to get his nephew killed, the jurors found him guilty because they had enough evidence. So determined to stand by her son, Miss Ruby had put out a statement and she said, "It's the same as a marriage. I'm there for him. That's what mothers do. We do that until death do us part. So if something happens to your kid, you have to be there for them because you are their inspiration." So guys, the takeaway for me in all this is that Andre was killed because he was accused of stealing from Miss Ruby's home, and he was accused of this burglary. So Tim Norman, her son, said in the court that he and his mother had hired private detectives to go about getting the money back and to inquire where he was because he had skipped town with the money. But if that's the case, why take out a life insurance policy? Was it part of the business that all employees they took out a life insurance policy on? If not, then that would be questionable. That you taking a life insurance policy out on this young man and you hire men to go after him. Seems like if you hired hitmen to go after him, that's what it's looking like. So now I can't help but wonder if they're going to start digging with Miss Ruby and if she was involved in any type of way and her role in these men going after her grandson to retrieve this money and how much planning was she involved in, because if she was actually a part of the planning phase to go get this money, then she can be implicated in this murder. So I'm wondering if that's their next move to go after her. The justice system is really slow in this country because it was 6 years ago that Andre lost his life. And now it was only last month, September, that Tim was brought forth in the courtroom to answer the charges of murder. So Andre's mother, the dead man's mother, the 21-year-old nephew, his mother took the stand. And when she got on the stand, she said that she was approached by Tim Norman. And he said to her that he wanted Andre to come to St. Louis so he can teach him how to be a man. And he asked her for his diploma, his birth certificate, social security card, and said to her that he would take care of him. She also said that after the murder of her son, she never got a call from Tim. But the day of the funeral, he said to her, "I'm sorry for your loss." Now, she was the first witness. The second witness was an FBI agent by the name of Chris Faber, who went through several text messages that Tim Norman sent. I'm telling you guys, when you think you delete these messages, they're still stored in your phone, okay? The FBI can pull it up. So while he was on the witness stand, Faber revealed that Norman sent a multitude of text messages, and all of it had to do with Montgomery's death. So the man that he hired was supposed to kill him. I didn't know Tim Norman was gangster like that. That's some real gangster shit. So one text message that was read by the agent revealed that there was some type of impropriety between the insurance agent and Tim Norman, and the insurance agent had pleaded guilty for that. So the insurance person's name is Yagman. The first name, Rebhi, Rebhi, Yagman, and he sent back a message to Tim. After Tim sent him a message that he wanted 5 insurance applications, and the message that Yagman sent to Tim was, Montgomery may not make it 6 months. Now, how would he know that if he was not involved in the murder himself? Allegedly. So according to TMZ, Travell Anthony Hill, the shooter, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder for hire and murder for hire in the fatal shooting of Andre Montgomery in 2016. He got on the witness stand and he said that Tim Montgomery, the uncle of Andre, hired him to shoot Andre Montgomery for $5,000. Tim Norman was also charged with conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. So BET reported that Tim took out over $400,000 in life insurance policies days after Montgomery's death. BET said he took it out after, and some reports said he took it out before. But whether it was before or after, the fact remains he took out life insurance policies on this 21-year-old young man who was his nephew. So on the insurance policies, Tim Norman was the sole beneficiary. Not this young man's mother, not his father, but Tim Norman. But what's good to know is that 4 other people were arrested with Tim Norman for conspiracy and murder for hire. So he's not the only one who is going to be doing jail time. But the other cases, I'm sure, is not going to be covered as much because he is known. His mother is known. They are well known, and so the other people are not so well connected and well known. So I'm sure their trial is going to proceed, and we will not know about it. And any write-up will be just mentioned in maybe small articles somewhere. Tarika Ellis and Hill, those 2 people with 2 others were mentioned as co-conspirators, and of course the insurance agent pleaded guilty. I wonder what he pleaded guilty to. YouTubers, this story is not over. There are still more people that are charged that needs to see their day in court, and so I'm going to have to keep my ears to the ground and bring you the updates on this story. I'm over now. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, drop your comments, like, share, and subscribe to my channel and to this video. Thank you for watching.